So entrepreneurship is a beautiful journey. We're not trying to discourage anyone because, as you can see, we are all still in it and loving every moment of it. But I feel like there is a glamorization and a romanticization of entrepreneurship that has been out there. So what words of wisdom would you give someone who is looking to make the leap from corporate to entrepreneurship?
In hindsight, if you can start it, you can plan and start before you leave, I would say that. Again, I said I was 30, so it was a very excitement, and I got into it. So there's maybe not a full think through, but you can never really think through anything. But I would say give yourself a 6 month runway if you want to start the business. That would be just something very objective that I would tell somebody. So write down the plan and bring in the staff, and then start testing the market out. And then you can be able to go like, okay, is this something I want to do full time outside? Do I want to hire help to do it? Is this something that is investable with somebody else? I can sell the idea. So I would say think through the idea, give yourself at least a 6 months to a 1 year runway. But in Luo, we have this thing where don't let yourself also be held back to a paralysis analysis of should I. In Luo, we say chaka chaka. It means just start. Just start. Like some things make sense when you begin taking the first step.
Welcome to the Lioness Grotto podcast, a space where we discuss money, beauty, fashion, wellness, entrepreneurship. So we are looking to encourage you, embrace you as a woman, share our stories as we navigate through life as Black women to pursue our limitless self. In this podcast, I have the pleasure of talking to two fascinating women, brilliant, smart, and beautiful, in their journey of transition from high-flying career women into manufacturing and entrepreneurship. They are beautiful in their journey to creating an organic beauty brand, one that I love myself, called Hawi, or Nature's Touch. And let them tell us how they made the leap. And today, Diana, who are you?
Hi, Anna. First, thank you. Thank you for having us in this space. So my name is full names, Diana Achim Ochola. I have 2 English names. I'm a Luo, so that's a big thing.
It's important.
You know, Diana Nina Achim Ochola. It's important. You can't get away with having 2 English names. I'm a lover of people. I thrive in connecting, empowering people. I thrive in ensuring that people live out the best selves of life. And I guess that's why I went into human resource management. We'll get into my career a bit about that. And I'm fun. I enjoy doing exciting adrenaline things. So I've summited Mount Kilimanjaro, climbed twice, didn't summit the first time, summited the second time. It was amazing. So I like extreme sports and adrenaline junkie kind of things. But in the sum of all that, I pride myself to ensure that everybody I interact with, I leave an impact. And that's why Hawi was born. How are we sharing, all this beauty and making women know that they can be beautiful with their authentic self and who they are. So in a nutshell, that's who I am.
That's amazing. Actually, I didn't know. I'm an adrenaline junkie. I didn't know that about you. So I didn't actually know. We had already connected somewhere. And
we should do something together.
We should do something together. I love adrenaline.
Nice.
And Caroline, tell us who you are. What makes you tick?
Caroline Ngugi Mutabacho. I'm a new mom. I think probably that's the newest title I've added to my life. Other than that, I love singing and I love music. So for me, I think that's the one part other than work, I really find an expression of my true self on who I am. Other than that, I really love hosting. Oh God, I love cooking up a storm. Like in December, I believe all weekends I had guests in my house. So it was really, really crazy. And I love being around people who fill my cup and filling people's cups, because in this world can be really tough. So if you have people who are not filling your cup and you're also filling their cups, you can get really exhausted and just decide to walk away from life. Yeah, that's who I am.
Amazing. So you both you're co-founders of Nature's Touch, which is the brand Hawi that I really love. I recommend it to all my friends. I remember one of my friends, I think I called you. She was here and she hasn't been able to find something for eczema for her very young son. And now that's all she gets. She lives in DC. And what people don't know about you is before you founded Nature's Touch Hawi, you both were high-flying career women. You actually were in spaces a lot of us or a lot of people would envy, and not just women. So, Diana, you were HR at UN. What was that journey, and what made you leave that, which a lot of people would kill to get, to go into this unknown world of entrepreneurship?
That's true. Honestly, that is the most asked question. Like, why would you leave, the UN? Everybody wants to get into the UN space to go what looked at that point as you just mixing oils. I'm not a manufacturer. I'm not a, how do I say, chemist.
You're not a chemist, yes.
Yeah, so this is not something I learned. I'd just gone plant-based. So what had happened, I'd gone plant-based. I'm 9 years vegan now, plant-based.
Okay. Wow.
And I went for a mission trip in church, and this man was teaching us how to make skincare products. And I was so, how do I say, I was excited, but I was like, he's a man. Why is he teaching me? I should be knowing how to do this. So I was kind of challenged and a bit intimidated. So I came back home and I started mixing a couple of things together. And I was like, this sounds interesting, because I'm the girly girl between me and Cara. I'm the Victoria's Secret girl. I'm the Bath and Body Works kind of girl. But I was like, all these things, there was nothing in the market that was rolling off my tongue easily in terms of the ingredients. I couldn't understand what they were. So I was like, okay, maybe I could, I could make something. But leaving the UN for me was, I think when you hit 30, something happens. I must say that. It's almost like, I was single and I'm like, you know what? I don't have any, how do I say, weight over my shoulders. The bills I'm paying are just mine. And I'm like, you know what? This is the time to do something exciting, something different, to step out of the field. I'd already gotten my master's. So I was like, you know what? Let me try entrepreneurship. So it was more, honestly, looking back now in hindsight, it was more of a very whimsical, passion-driven thing. And I wouldn't say I thought much into it or like, this is the next journey of my life. I was like, you know what? Let me try this thing and come back. So there was no this big thing that was, made me change. But for me, I was brave enough to go like, I could always come back to corporate if I want to.
Right.
So maybe I was a bit also maybe too whimsical about it.
And for you, Caroline, again, McKinsey, Microsoft in operations, again, companies and people would kill for, and very, very few, a very few percentage actually gets there. And you decide, and you hadn't even turned 30 yet. So what makes you just go,
So probably for me, it was it wasn't calculated. I just found myself there. So to give a context, my last job, consultancy, was really stressful. And I was making a lot of good money, but good money and no time to spend the good money. And it was at a phase where it really affected my health. I struggle, and it's a continuous journey with hormonal acne, which is usually triggered by stress for me. So after the last consultancy job I was doing at McKinsey, my face broke out, and it was beyond recognition. Like you would meet me and think it's not the same person I know. So for me, when that happened, I was very focused on what kind of jobs can I take? Because to give context, I used to work on a good day for 12 hours. On a bad day, it could be 18 or 24 hours. And I'm a young woman, I'm making good money. And I didn't have a child, I only have a husband. So the money was just for myself. And I was like, this is a very good path. I can own a home very fast. I can drive big cars very fast. But I wasn't happy. So when I finished that consultancy, I remember my boss asking me at McKinsey, Caroline, what's your next step? And I told him I'm going to get married. I hadn't been proposed to, but I had only a boyfriend for 3 months who's now my husband.
I love it.
So for me, I was very sure that I only wanted to do a job that would have regular hours, that would enable me to focus on my own personal health. Because beyond even taking care of a family, your own personal health is very important. And for me, it was the reality of money is not everything. Money is not what drives me. Yeah, it's good to have good money. It's good to, it pays our bills. It gives us a certain level of comfort. But I knew money wasn't my driver. So at the point where we are starting Hawi, I told Diana, I want to invest. The idea was investing. You run the business. I'm going to invest and then go back to corporate. But I'm going to set up the structures with you and help the business start operating. Then I'm going to be far away. I'm going to take a break. I was taking a 3-month sabbatical from work because I'd made quite a bit of money and I was going to be able to travel. Then after that, I was going to now go back to corporate. But I never left. So I went to set up operations and never left. So yeah, that's how I found myself there. And we're finishing our 6th year. We're going to be starting our 7th year in March. Yeah.
That's amazing. For a lot of people, that money is not everything is a really, really hard place to get to. So was that your upbringing? Because the majority of people actually hate what they do, but never have the courage to leave because of the money. And especially in this society, this Kenyan society where, money, I'm driving a big car, where I live, what I can do. And even that question, which has become, since I went into entrepreneurship myself, has become the most hated question for me anyway. Now I just have fun with it. What do you do? Because it's a status question.
Yes, it is.
Where can I place you? Is this inborn? Is it something you came to growing up? Is it family? Where did that come from? Because very, very few people actually have the courage to leave it all behind just because they're not happy.
I really, it would be the contrast because I'm from a very humble family. Like my parents struggled through taking us to not only university, but even primary school and high school. We were those kids that there was always a fees balance, but by God's grace, we finished school. So for me, it seemed very stupid to people who know my background, even my siblings, like, why are you making that decision? But for me, I think it's when you find your identity, who truly you are and who you were made for, money doesn't move you. Money doesn't shake you. Because even in that season, when I was making fun that I want to get married, the people who were pursuing me other than my husband had a lot of money. And they were in those high-rolling corporate jobs. But for me, I wouldn't marry a man because of money.
Yeah.
I mean, let me just add to... I think to add on to identity, the privilege of community we take for granted. I think your community can give you a safe landing to sort of take a few risks. And I think for me, that was the case. I had an amazing community that allowed me to jump. I keep saying, so I'm the second one in a family of 4, and I'm the daughter who has tested my father the most. I'm the daughter who, I have a postgraduate degree, I have a master's. Like, I'm the most well-read. But I'm not in corporate, I'm not permanent and pensionable. His sons, who haven't even gone and gotten their second degrees and are permanent and pensionable. So I always say I give him a lot of stress. But for me, even though I did and he didn't understand it, I think community allows you to pursue. And I think it's a privilege. It's a privilege to be able to have a community that allows you to, okay, this is what you want to do. Okay, jump, but we'll catch you. It's almost like there's a safety net that allows you to pursue and to do things. It's very important too, because it's not that I don't wake up and wonder, what would my life be? I do. And so I'm like, I'd be far. I'd probably be a homeowner. I'd probably, there are days I'm like, money would answer a lot of my problems, right now. So that thing comes in and out because we are human and money is a currency that makes doors open, gets you into spaces. But the community aspect has held me and even us both our parents. I think they don't get it, but the fact that they also don't pressure gives you some sort of hope for, okay, what you're doing will make sense.
And I agree with that. I actually love the fact that you use the word privilege, because it's the same word I use. I went into entrepreneurship in my 40s. I also left corporate career, most of it spent in Fortune 500 in the US. And my parents to this day do not understand. I don't even think they understand why I even left the US to come back home, leave alone, then deciding I'm not even going to work. And in my father being a Kikuyu man in his 70s, literally he's thinking, you are leaving a good paying job to go mix oils. Yeah, pretty much.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, you're going to mix. But in whatever I have decided to do, they've supported it. Yes. They don't understand it. I don't think they'll ever will. But that, having a community, friends, family who support you is everything. Recently, I actually was thinking about something. When people say self-made, I think that's the biggest lie ever told. No one is self-made. We all have people around us holding us and rallying us. Yes. So you leave corporate and you go set up Hawi. What was one of the biggest challenges that you went through in the initial part of the process?
I think maybe I would say, I think the first year, just route to market, I would say, so you have this great product. I remember taking it to my friends in the gym and everyone, it didn't even have labels then. You know how you just started sampling your stuff and they're like, oh, we're supporting you. And even if they're giving you feedback, they're helping you. But getting to the market, getting people to have your product, your first product on a shelf, because it's one thing to sell family to and friends. It's another thing to get buy-in from a stranger. I mean, nobody just, how am I believing in you and I don't know you? I mean, I've seen you on even Facebook, our community was pretty small, right? So the route to market was difficult. I remember the first time when we went to now it's True Cosmetics, right? And I remember sitting with, I mean, I think I mentioned them, Nana, and
Habiba
and Habiba, and we're sitting in that office and we're here, I mean, Carol, and we're the ones doing that walking, and we are telling them about this amazing sheer butter product, and you're confident, and they're looking at
they're
you.
They're probably rolling eyes, like,
yeah, they're like, okay. And I think they took like 3 months.
Yes, to get back to us.
To get back to us, and you're like, wow, And the first time they're like, okay, bring your first stock. I mean, we could have thrown a party. I'm like, just that somebody believing. So route to market is very challenging. I would even say for us, I wouldn't say KEBS was a big issue. For some people who KEBS was a big issue for them getting certified, but KEBS was a big issue. And I genuinely thank the officer we met, because she was able to guide us into, okay, I don't want you, because we started literally in the kitchen. We started in my father's kitchen. And she came and she's like, okay, I'm going to give you this certificate, but next year I need you to move. And truth be told, that gave us the impetus, because the next year we moved. Yeah. So route to market, I think for me, I would say was the biggest challenge if you look at it business. But personally, it was, when are we making money? Because, there's also the thing for when you get entrepreneurship, you sort of think the math makes sense on the Excel sheet. I remember doing the Excel sheet, Carol. Oh, if cost of manufacturing, sell price, profit.
Exactly. I mean, that's simple, right?
Yeah. Yo. I mean, when you get your boots down in, you're like, oh, so when is the money coming? So coming from corporate and you were earning a salary, and I remember I loved heels. So I'd go to someone and I'm shopping. I'm like, I got a pair of heels. And now I'm like, okay, so what's the plan?
Actually, she would buy she would buy like 5 pairs of heels at a go. Like, we used to go shopping, then I'm like, Dan, I'm not allowing you to buy more than this number of pairs of shoes. Because I found it ridiculous. I'm not the girly girl, but here's my friend spending ridiculous amount of money on shoes.
Yeah,
and already
I hear you. I'm a shoe girl that I never worn anymore. Actually.
Yeah.
So, and for you, what was the most challenging, Carol?
Interesting. When she's mentioned the route to market, it triggered something that has made me, I've never even shared it with you. I used to really admire you. I even don't know, I can't remember how we met and how we ended up becoming friends. But I remember this specific day, a certain shop at, I saw it Greenhouse Mall, and we were looking for spaces where we can be listed to sell our products. So So we're at on Ngong Road, and the first thing I called her, and I'm like, I've seen Anna from Oidera. Because I used to really admire you because your products were already on shelf. We were not anywhere in the shelves yet. We'd just been selling at markets to friends and family. So I saw you then, you're in the bag, you'd come to check on your stock. You went and spoke to the manager. Then I was like, if Oidera is being stocked, how it can be stocked. So actually that really gave me a lot of confidence. But my challenge was for me, I remember we shut down business for close to 6 to 9 months because we couldn't find the packaging we needed. So we'd started, and then we had been manufacturing. So we got our cabs in August 2017. So we'd started manufacturing. We're even now started approaching shops so that we can do the wholesaling, the distribution. Then I believe it was December that year, the person who was supplying for us the glass jar no longer had it.
Yeah.
And they had it out of stock for 9 months. So that's how we had the delay in regards to going to the retail space. We shut down for 9 months the manufacturing side of the business. For me, that was challenging because at this point, already I'm 2 feet in the business, and I've decided I'm going to do this and build a legacy business. And then they're not jazz. So what are you going to do? So we started now manufacturing again September 2018. So the supply chain was messed up, and even to date is messed up, to be very honest. The supply chain for small businesses, because people need you to buy things at a very high MOQ, you don't have that amount of money. That was really crazy. So for us to go back to the market, we started sourcing for the same jar from South Africa. Then we convinced a local company, which is a subsidiary of the company in South Africa, to bring for us the jar. Because we convinced them, we told them, we're in for business. We're serious women. We may be small right now, but our orders are going to increase. But that for me was quite a big blow. And I was like, no, I'm starting to look like a foolish person. You abandoned everything to do this, and then now you can't do it. And people kept telling us, pack in plastic. So we'd gone to many places and seen what is available in the market. But we're like, it doesn't talk to the look and feel we want as a brand. So that was very challenging.
Yeah, and believe me, I get it because I'm in the same space. I talk about, we had a delay to go to market for about 2 months. And it is the funniest thing. It was, again, packaging, but it's the labels and the bottle we had chosen. But because you're so new in, you do not know it will be a problem. I remember one time being in my car in Mlolongo and just bawling because I had come to the end of it all. So I completely understand that supply chain and the questioning yourself. Yes. You guys are business partners and you're friends. First of all, how did you meet? And why did you decide that you needed to go into business together? Because seriously, business partnership is like a marriage.
Let me tell you. I'm in my first marriage. Before I get into my real marriage. Me and Carol met in university. We were not in the same university, but we're in the same student organization called ISEC.
Okay.
So ISEC was a student organization, and we were both, we worked for the national office. Then we both found each other where she was my boss. She was the president for running one of the international congress that was being hosted in Kenya, and all the 52 countries were coming. So she was the boss, and I was in charge of special events. It's so funny. Even this Christmas, I was reviewing my video. It's on YouTube, where your application had to be on YouTube and a video. So that's when we met, but we were not. At that point, I wouldn't say we were friends. We were acquaintances in the same organization. And she was a tough nut. Like, Carol was just, I was like, no, like, great that we're acquaintances. I'm not sure we can do this friends thing, but we thank God for Jesus. Because literally Bible study ended up bringing us together. In an informal setup. I think once we left, we sort of found each other and we begin to know each other in a different space than work. So that's that's my version of the story. In this marriage, we hear her version. But yeah, so we become a group of 4 girls, and then we get to know each other outside this organization, and that brings us together. And then so when I had come back from the mission thing, I told you where I was mixing the oils, and Kara would come and I turned plant-based. She's like, this girl, she's plant-based. She's not doing, because I loved my chicken and my fish. I mean, I'm a little girl. Fish was so beautiful.
Fishes.
So it didn't make sense when I made the switch. And then one day in a Bible study, I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about starting a business, and I need a business partner, and I need investment, and you guys pray about it. And I think Carol had the Holy Spirit telling her. She called me the next day, like, I want to invest. Yeah. So let's hear her side of the story.
Yes. What's your side of the story, Carol?
Dana is the person who will forget the details.
Something bad.
It's not just it's not the Bible study. So I think now when we did, actually, so even before we did the International Congress within ISEC, we were in the national office. Yes. So we became friends that way because we were hanging out in social spaces that were being brought together by the team we were working in. And I remember, I think my first very deep conversation with you was after a breakup. I was so heartbroken. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. Because I thought I was going to marry that person. I was in university. It's very silly of me. And then she was telling me, Carol, Dana is those friends. If you need someone to feel with you,
she'll be there.
Like, she's telling me it may not make sense for everyone else in regards to why you love him so much. I understand, I've been there. You're going to be okay. So I remember us walking down. Actually, I think we were walking down to pick up Matatu because we were still in university. Walking down from your end where the national office was, and we were going. So I was like, she's someone I can confide in. So we became friends that way. Even having Diana leave the country for an international exchange experience where she was a management trainee in Ghana. I ran her business for her when she was away. Then when she was even away, you see, this girl, she's forgotten. When she was there, I would even go and visit her family. And she wasn't there.
I used to sell shoes.
Yeah, she was selling shoes, heels. And I even used to go and sleep in their house, and it sounds crazy because my friend is in Ghana, but I'm going to their house and I'm hanging out with her family, yet my friend is in Ghana. So we became friends. And then now within the group also of friends, now we ended up even doing the Bible study much later. The Bible study was formed from the fact that I was already Diana's friend. Then Diana is the person who has friends. So actually the other two girls who ended up being in our Bible study and being our friends, they were first Diana's friends. They were not my friends. I was friends with Diana, and then I started hanging out with these two other girls because one time I come out from up country, it's New Year, then they asked me, what's your plan? I'm like, nothing, I'm just in the house. I just now moved to my own house. Then she tells me, get ready, I'm picking you, we're going to Carnival. The times we used to go out. Mm-hmm. She comes with these two other girls. We go to Carnival. Now this time with 3. No, we were not even 4 because the other girl wasn't there. So with 3, we go out. Then eventually we become 4 because now she's brought another friend of hers. Yeah, she's the friendship. She can't remember the details because she's so active.
HR, what?
Yeah.
Recruiter.
We end up going to another common friend's house for dinner another day. So we end up hanging out so much because it was Dana is the common friend to these other 3 girls. So Dana, whenever Dana is action. So we ended up becoming friends. The 4 of us ended up even having a Bible study. So yeah.
But actually an investment was
exactly.
But see, I'm still like business partnership. Like I've had at once I had a best friend who became my roommate. That was maybe 25 years ago or whatever, how long it was. We don't speak anymore. After we have not spoken after, and we lived together for 6 months. And I was like, no. But you guys are running a business, and here you are, still in love, and how do you do it?
So honestly, first we're very different personalities. So Caro is your if it was a parent, she's the bad cop. I'm the good cop. Like, she's more strict than I am. I can tend to be very spontaneous, and I'm not, compared to her, I'm not too attention to detail. So our business partnership has had, at the beginning, I think I was like, okay, I don't think this is going to work, because I sort of, it brings out, I don't know, you people are married, it brings out a side of you also didn't know. So you think you're this individual, and then this person is pushing a side of your character that you weren't aware of, and that makes you upset. And then, communication and just having different ideas and visions for the business, and you want to do one thing and she's like, no, and we're just two of us, so there's no deal breaker we're doing here, right? So we either have to
Agree.
now, agree or compromise.
Agree or agree.
I don't like it, but this year we'll do Carol's idea.
Okay.
Next year I'll do mine.
You said you're very different personalities, and even your experiences from a corporate perspective are very, very different. Do you divide your responsibilities in the business based on your strengths and your experience?
Yes, we do. So it hasn't been easy, as Diana has mentioned. So in terms of responsibilities, I do operations because we need to know how we're going to make the money. Diana does the formulation and the production, managing the process and even the supply chain. So that's what Diana does. And so it's based on our strengths. And where we don't have the strength, we outsource. So we've learned to outsource. When we started, we were doing everything. But now we outsource things or hire internally for things we're not able to do ourselves. I would say it's not been easy. But for me, what I learned is beyond this business, Dana is my friend. It's also like, it's just like marriage. My husband pisses me off. I piss him off. I'm not a perfect person.
Right.
But you have to realize, are you in this marriage for sure, or you're here as a part-time thing? And if you're here, what's your deal breaker? So for me, that's the most important thing. So what's my deal breaker? Like, if I was not to do business with Diana, what is it that Diana would have to do to get me to that level? So I have my deal breakers. I believe she has. And I think for us, the mutual respect for one another and remembering we're friends is really, really important. And it makes you have a lens. I'm not saying that because you're friends, we're going to do shoddy work and not do things. It makes you have a lens for, this is Diana as my friend in this point, and this is Diana, my business partner. So what do we want? We want to make money. So what is best for Hawi?
Yeah. So it's
That's
outside
it.
of the two of you, what's the best for the business?
Exactly. So we can't be here talking about being all too friendly, yet we're losing money and we're not telling each other the truth. No. So I think we have always to look at, how is our baby? In this marriage, you have a baby.
This is
Hawi.
the baby, and the baby is first responsibility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We both want the same thing. Hawi to thrive, Hawi to make money, Hawi to pay us, Hawi to be an international business. So when we have that, even when I tell Diana, I did not like when this and this happened, she's not taking it as Carol is just a main person, and she's telling me that, no, I think we just have always had to choose what's best for our baby. And that has kept us moving. And the times that I believe there's been two very times that when we've had to make hard decisions, it all comes back to communicating. And both of those decisions for me, I think it takes a lot of maturity. Step out of even who you are to think about what's best for Hawi. And based on what's best for Hawi, we agree and disagree and have a uniform trajectory that this is the direction we're going to take as a business.
Okay.
But I would say in any partnership, marriage, communication, that's the key that unlocks everything. And I would say that's been the strongest key that has held us together as business partners, and above all, even as friends. Because also I have to remember that Diana is my friend. And I don't want just to be calling her, hey, have the products left? Now I cultivate time. Personally, I noticed that our friendship, the first and second year was really changing, drifting, that it was just conversational based on
About
Hawi.
Yep.
No, but now we started now being very intentional in regards to, despite what's happening in Hawi, we want to build our friendship beyond what we see. So at times I'll just call her, then she's like, oh, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm just checking on you. I just wanted to know how you are. And also we have dates. And even one of our friends also now banned us from talking about Howie when we go on dates as friends. Because she noticed we could go on and on. We're there. Then I'm like, oh, then I can't imagine what happened. Ah. Then she'll be like, did we come here to discuss about Howie? We came here on a girl's date. So please, can we be present?
Right.
So I always catch myself so much when I'm in social circles with Diana, and even when I'm just meeting her as my friend, to not discuss about Howie, as much as maybe juicy and there's always something to discuss. No.
Okay. So
And
what? Yep.
I want to add something that also, in addition to communication, that helps you navigate conflict or transitions within the business, because you're also changing within
Yes.
the business.
Yep.
Because you get in, there's the excitement, then there's the math is not mathing.
Uh-huh.
Then there is this
There's a frustration. Yeah.
frustration, and then I'm done with this. And I think both of us have been in that season at different times, and we have given each other grace to go through that season. I had my season last year where I was like, I'm done.
Yep.
I'm done. And it's okay. And we even had there was a call we had with
The consultant.
and she asked a very direct question, like, do you want to leave the business? And I was like, yeah, I'll be okay, comfortable selling my stake, and that's because of where I was mentally and emotionally. I was just like, this is no longer making sense to me, and the grace within which I feel I was handled. Okay, it's okay, whatever. Like Carol never asked. We never sat down to even talk about the details of what I was going through emotionally, and I cried a lot last year in 2023. It was more of like, I don't know who this is. I don't know who I am. This is not working for me. But there was a lot of grace to allow me to grieve, whether it's the business or me, or grieve the loss of who I thought I would be at 37. So and I think that also just helps you feel safe.
Yeah.
And then you're able then now to go like, okay.
And thank you for sharing that, because it's about burnout. I think we all go through it as entrepreneurship, and you question yourself why you left employment.
Yeah.
And you brought up a very great point. It's not where you thought you would be at 37.
Yes.
And I'm sure you're looking at your colleagues, the ones you left, and their trajectory. Yeah. Do you ever feel regret? And is that more often than not? Do you want to go back at times? And how do you handle that as a partnership, as a business, and as yourself individually?
I think for me, I would say, again, it hit me a lot last year. So looking at my friends, and there's someone who I know. I mean, she made it to the top 40 under 40 list, and I was looking at all that, and I'm like, this could have been me. Because we were at almost the same career space. So there was grieving what Diana could have been. And I think also the good thing with me and Carol, we talk about such things. We're like, wow, have you seen so-and-so?
Yeah.
And LinkedIn can finish you.
Yeah.
Everybody, if they're not updating another certification, they're updating a new job. And it just gets to a space where you're like, okay, if I start looking at everybody else's success, and then you diminish yours, you diminish the 7 years. Yeah. It now doesn't look like something that was so great, because the success does not look like the way you think it should look like.
Or you thought, yeah.
Or you thought. So you're like, so people are like, oh, you're running a business, you're so brave, right? But then you internally, you're like, but what is it adding up to? Do you know the stress I'm going through? So they are seeing your accomplishment, but you yourself are not internalizing it, because there's a standard you have for yourself. There's a money in the bank amount that you want for yourself, for the business, that you've equated it to a quantifiable amount that is not adding up, and that takes a toll on you. And I think for me, that's what happened last year, and just the comparison culture, it steals your joy. Comparison is the thief of joy, and social media is, I mean, of course, it reminds you every single day. But I would say, personally for me, Carol offered me such a gracious period to grieve what I was grieving, to go through that. And I think that enabled me to go through that without shame and guilt, without, if you want to live it, it's almost like she was like, okay, it's okay if that's where you are. I mean, I was still working, but I was working with the assumption of this is coming to an end. And I think that allowed me to also calm down. So, I mean, thank you for that. I haven't said that. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for you, Caroline, getting to that space where I know you and I have actually had this discussion. You're regretting, you're looking back and going, what did I do? Can you tell us more about those moments?
So probably to add on to something what Diana is saying, the reason why probably whatever she's talking about grace, for me it's because I've been there so many times. Because I've been brought up to be such a go-getter. I'm so ambitious. I have, a standard for myself that you need to meet. So there's several times, not once, when I felt I'm letting myself down. But for me, the biggest challenge has been my fight with God, because I'm a believer. You'd rather be doing something that has impact, and that is for sure we're walking in purpose, as opposed to wasting time. You're making money, but you're not working in purpose. So for me, the fact that I'm sure I'm working in purpose, being in Hawi, has grounded me. But it doesn't mean that I've not gone through the emotions. I will come and tell them I'm applying for this job. I'll tell my husband I'm doing this and that. And then I just go back. God reminds me, why are you doing that? Because you're frustrated. What did I say about this business? Where do I want to take you? Yeah. So that for me has kept me grounded.
Has a comparison thing on social media. It's all of us.
It affects me. Mm-hmm. It affects me. Then I remind myself, Carol, you're running your own race. Stop looking at people. You're running your own race. Actually, I remember even telling Diana, someone we know who was in top 40, under 40, a man. And also he did a very nice interview and he looked very glamorous. Someone who in university with, someone who is a peer. Like even we reached out to him to help us on business. And it was like, oh, sure, because he's very good at what he does. Mm-hmm. I won't mention the industry. And then we sent him all the information, and then it became a game of chasing him for 2 months.
Oh, wow.
To give us feedback on the things he was meant to analyze and give us a report on what we need to do as our business. So you just realize someone like that, you fell through the cracks, you don't matter to them
anymore.
Because you don't have the position you had and the money you had, such that we were hanging out and having dinners together, So for me, that level, also it's disrespect also. Because you see, it just takes decency for you to tell me, Caroline, I don't think your company can afford the service. And it's okay that I walk away.
Yeah.
But then for you to pick my call and then I chase you for 2 months. What is this? It's a lot of nonsense. So for me, when I remember that time now, when I saw him and I was like, I sent Diana and I was like, oh, look at our friend. This is happening. And then I told her, but do you know what? I don't even feel bad about it. I know what we're doing right now may not make sense right now, 6 years down the line, but 20 years down the line, it will make sense.
Yeah.
It will make sense. And you know what will have happened by then? He'll be retired.
Yep.
You will be having a business. You're handing over.
A business and you'll be retired. Yeah.
Yeah.
And probably no purpose. So
yeah.
How have you guys navigated? Because for me, this was one of the hardest things about having money and then having no money. How have you navigated that and just coming to terms with it? Like, I can't just go out and buy 5 pairs of heels all at once.
I think it's something we are I would say I'm constantly navigating between the dreams I had, of what I should be owning, And I think also sometimes life sets you up to fail in that aspect, because so I was the girl, 25, I should have been married. 30, I was supposed to be done with the kids. Then by 35, I should have been homeowner and now traveling the world with and that kind of thinking comes from, I would say, how the culture sets you up as a woman.
Yes.
And so there's almost the escalator is always going up. And these are your levels to know that you've succeeded. So I would say it's still something that I'm still grappling with, especially because when you have aunties and when you have friends and your peer groups are either married, they're on their 3rd babies right now, or if they're not married, they are maybe, traveling the world just because they have a lot more disposable income. Mm-hmm. But I think how I navigate that, I have to remind myself that the way Carol said, where are you now, and what are you supposed to do? First, do you have food on the table? Yes. Do you have a roof over your head? Yes. So there's a lot to be grateful for. It may not look like somebody else, but it doesn't take away that you are much better mentally, spiritually, emotionally than where you were in your 20s, even where I was in my early 30s. So I feel like the maturity and allowing myself. So I also went into therapy, which was a huge thing. I advocate for therapy. I'm a Christian. I say God and therapy, please. It's together. Just because we're Christian doesn't mean we can't do therapy. Therapy also helped me just to also firm up my identity. And I think I realized that I am more than one thing. And I think I am also, yes, I do Hawi, but I am not Hawi. So yes, exactly. So there's not this one thing that has encapsulated me that, if Hawi doesn't work out, then it means Diana failed. No. Hawi is an extension that allows me to give back and make women feel authentic and families, through one space, HR. So I went back into consultancy and human resource. It's something I do, how do I say, like not every day when it comes.
Yeah.
So again, that's an aspect of me that I do naturally that has allowed that space to happen. So knowing that my identity is not built on this one thing has freed me from the emotional burden that I will fail if one thing fails.
Okay. And you, Carol, how have you navigated that from I can go to any restaurant, travel anywhere, buy whatever I want, to now, wait, I need to buy jars or I need to pay for labels.
I need to pay salaries.
I need to pay salaries,
KRA.
exactly. Yes, I need to pay KRA and yes.
For me, it may sound silly, but I keep reminding myself contentment with godliness is great gain. So I think Jesus has been that one thing that has kept me very strong and grounded. So I've had seasons where because of having a supportive spouse, I was able to still do that. Then seasons changed for us with different life choices and also my husband needing to work in purpose. Because also the other thing we realize is that as much as even you can be married and it's not like a parent, yeah? Like, Diana, your parents are holding you down and it's amazing. But for me, with a spouse, it means that my husband cannot forever work in a job he doesn't like because he has to support us as a family financially.
Yeah,
that was a tough one. And we made that decision last year, but one. And we let go the plug. So for me, with that, the reality was this is a new normal. So with this new normal, we can't afford certain things we used to do as a family. And because there was someone who was funding that. But now with this new normal as a family, we are both working in purpose. We are actually happier. Our marriage is thriving. We are more peaceful, even within ourselves. And it's very interesting because it's when we've had the least amount of income as a family, but we are happy. We are content. So it's the reality of, it would be nice if we can do X, Y, Z. But that is because money gives you that comfort. If it can't give you that comfort, what is the new normal? And what do you enjoy in this new normal?
Exactly.
The interesting bit even was what I was telling Diana a few weeks ago when I called her. In like December, we, as a family, we spent a lot of money. But it wasn't from our own incomes. We just had, for me, there's something I believe in regards to divine provision by God. When you walk in purpose, you get surprised by God by what he does. Yeah. We spent a lot of money as a family. We also gave out a lot of money as a family to other people who are needy. But it wasn't our money. We just kept being gifted by people. And the gifting came from walking in obedience and walking in purpose. What my husband is doing, it did not make sense to many people, including his parents. But what he's doing right now has led to open doors of God honoring that faith and just providing for him and us as a family in ways that you can't explain. So for me, I think I keep reminding myself, you can do that, but what can you do? That new normal, define it for yourself. I remember meeting an older woman who is a wife to a very established politician, very good friend of mine. And she kept telling me about a season in their lives when They couldn't even afford rent because they had been auctioned. They couldn't afford meat. And then she told me, what I learned is with the new normal, how do I provide protein for my children? And she had to buy eggs and make stew. So she's a very good friend of mine even to date. And the one thing she keeps reminding me, she tells me, Caroline, it's a season you're in. It's not a lifetime sentence.
Yep, it's a
So in that season, understand what's your new normal and innovate yourself in regards to living in contentment and happiness, not sulking. Because you see, you can be in a season, but my friend,
if you're sulking,
the energy, the energy
like your
is so
problem.
crazy that no one even wants to ever go in that route ever. And you don't live there with a testimony to share to people and tell them, by the way, this happened, but out of this I learned this. So for me also now, that sense of community, of having people who keep me grounded, who understand this refining process you're going through, it's a season. But imagine subject yourself to the refiner. You're going to be okay at the end of it all. But you have to do it, because if you don't do it, you'll have wasted so much time of your life. Like, it's not even, I don't want to look back and say, what if I would have started Hawi 10 years ago? No. Let me do it now. Let me suffer. I've suffered my 6 years. This 7th year, may things break. So for me, it's more of, I don't want to live in regret. And if I'm convinced it's the path I'm meant to be walking right now, I want to work in purpose. And let me pay the price, and let's see the finished product
line.
at the end of it all.
I love that. And how have your friendships been affected? Because I know, actually, I'm not even going to say just about Kenya. Money does affect how friendships navigate. Have you lost friends in the process of starting a business when you left your high-flying careers?
Oh, yes, I have.
Yeah. And I think also just certain things you can't do. You know, somebody's like, oh, there's this.
Let's go here.
Let's go here. And you're like, I will not be able to make it.
Exactly.
You know, because I know what that kind of environment is going to afford and that kind of thing. Sometimes there's a time, for the longest time, like my phone, like I couldn't be able to change my phone because I'm like, it's calling, it's receiving M-Pesa. Isn't that the basics of it? You know, because again, I learned delayed gratification. So yes, so friendships do change. The dynamics of how you relate
Yes, they
can
do
also
change.
So you could have been buddy, which I think is a good thing, because then now it reveals what I think power and money have a way of revealing the true nature of individuals. Then you can go like, oh, so this is how you want us to relate. Then it's good I know it earlier, better than later. Yeah, so that's what I'd say on that.
Okay, and for you, Caroline?
I've lost friends. And I don't think it's anything to do even with them probably being intentional on, I don't want to hang out with you because you're an entrepreneur and you no longer have much money. But it's similar to Diana, the places and the events they're inviting you to, you can't afford it. So you stop hanging out because them hanging out with you means it's hanging out in certain places. But at the same time, I think it's for me, it's a great thing. It sieves and filters who really matters. Because my closest friends are actually all entrepreneurs. And we've had seasons when we sit down as the girls and we're like, so actually my friend, our other friend now, we're back to 3 of us. Our other friend mentioned recently, and she said, guys, I'm believing God for this year, we're going to start having our dates again in restaurants, not meeting in homes and doing fun things together and traveling. And we were like, oh, that's amazing. But we've gone through the full circle of, there's a time when we were meeting in restaurants. That's changed. There's a time we've been meeting in our homes and still hanging out with one another. That has been happening. But then it goes back to, we're still friends. So I really don't think friendship can be defined by only money. If it can only be defined by money, you're really shallow. It wasn't a friendship.
Yeah, it was not a friendship to begin
But if we
with.
can weather the seasons of life and walk together through a lot of income, and also with friendships, you see at different seasons, some people have a lot of income, some have little.
And it changes even during season for everyone, yeah.
So that's really important. And for me, it's good. It removes the noise. Like I remember my bridal shower, Diana is the event planner among us. There's a lot of people. My baby shower, very few people. Great. It sifts through. the noise in life. Yeah.
And sometimes you use the word afford, and sometimes it's not about afford, it's about prioritizing my money.
Yes. Actually, that's
It's
right.
prioritizing. I had this conversation once with a friend. There was a concert he wanted us to go to. He's a very, very good friend of mine. And I'm telling the story because he said, but the ticket is only 5,000 shillings. And I was like, yeah, I know, but it's not 5,000 shillings. I have to drive from my house or take an Uber. That's a cost. In that venue, I'll buy drinks, I'll buy food, it's more than that. And even just that 5,000 shillings, I've paid internet for the month.
Exactly.
He was like, wow, now when you put it like that,
I see.
I understand. It's not just 5,000 shillings. I can do something else without 5,000 shillings. So as you navigate through this journey, what are you looking for, Hawi, and what lessons have you learned so far that you think will propel you into the next phase?
I think for me, the greatest lesson I've learned is give yourself time even when it's difficult. I think just coming from the season I was where I questioned my identity, and I'm so grateful the space I was in allowed me to go through that it doesn't mean that it has failed because it doesn't look the way it was supposed to look in your head. Because the dream you have for your business, the one that you had, the one that we wrote in 2016, when we were, and we go back and we look at those those plans, in the Excel sheet with the goals and the objectives, that dream is still alive because I believe, Habakkuk says, whatever you've put on paper, it will come to pass. It's just a matter of timing. So I'd say give yourself grace, and you are more than one thing. Your life is not defined by an event. It's not defined by an individual. It's not defined by the season you are in. You can transition, you can transform to be different people. You can be able to navigate and pivot yourself based on the spaces that you are in. And I just would like to also add what Carol says in terms of purpose. What God has written about your life will come to pass. It may sound cliche, what does that mean? It sounds lofty, but like when we come back down to it, you're being held by this divine individual who has laid down plans for you that are bigger than yourself. And even on days that it's difficult and you won't believe what has been said about your life, you won't believe the things you've told yourself. I believe a lot in self-talk. Like I'm like Dana, like I do mirror talk. I'm like, Dana, you're beautiful, you're smart, you'll get through this. And we will get through this. And that just has a way, of just picking yourself up and also reinventing yourself. Because I'm now going into psychology actually. So I'm going back to school. So I went back to school, then I dropped out though. But I'm going back again. So just see how to reinvent yourself, that things that bring you joy, and those have a way to propel you. Yeah.
Okay. So entrepreneurship is a beautiful journey. We're not trying to discourage anyone because, as you can see, we are all still in it and loving every moment of it. But I feel like there is a glamorization and a romanticization of entrepreneurship that has been out there. So what words of wisdom would you give someone who is looking to make the leap from corporate to entrepreneurship?
In hindsight, if you can start it, you can plan and start before you leave, I would say that. Again, I said I was 30, so it was a very excitement, and I got into it. So there's maybe not a full think through, but you can never really think through anything. But I would say give yourself a 6 months runway if you want to start the business. That would be just something very objective that I would tell somebody. So write down the plan and bring in the staff, and then start testing the market out. And then you can be able to go like, okay, is this something I want to do full-time outside? Do I want to hire help to do it? Is this something that is investable with somebody else? I can sell the idea. So I would say think through the idea, give yourself at least a 6 months to a 1 year runway. But in Luo, we have this thing where don't let yourself also be held back to a paralysis analysis of should I. In Luo, we say chaka chaka. It means just start. Just start. Like some things make sense when you begin taking the first step. And fear should not be something that holds you back, because it is truly false evidence appearing real. Because your situation can change very quickly. You can have an idea that tomorrow just picks up quickly. Some need a longer runway, and that's still fine because you're still going to learn through it. In terms of money, financially, I would also say if you can be able to get a good backup for yourself, not to finance a lifestyle or anything, but to keep you afloat for at least a period of 1 year, I would suggest to do that so that you're not juggling the too much emotional of running an operational business and then wondering, where am I going to eat? So and we mentioned that the community aspect is what will keep you sane when it doesn't make sense. So ensure you have a solid community, even 1 or 2 people. It doesn't have to be 5 people, 1 or 2 people who you can always piggyback off and say, I'm stressed, I don't know what to do, and they're able to encourage you. That keeps your head above water. That's what I would say.
What about you, Caroline?
When you start, be consistent. I think in life, the race is not for the swift, but it's for the people who are consistent. Remember, you're running your own race. So be consistent and run it at your pace. I think when you're consistent and you pace yourself, entrepreneurship always does pay off. Like for me, for that, I look at the story of a renowned story that we all know about, the Equity Bank. No one knew about Equity Bank the way we know about it for the first maybe 15 years. But today, oh my God, like I read their story and it's amazing to see what they've been able to do with the brand and their expansions and even takeover of banks in other countries within Africa. So for me, it's just that there is going to be the time of the small beginning when no one knows about you. And if they know about you and they don't believe in you, but there's going to be a time when you're consistent, the day breaks for you and you will get the returns you've been looking for.
So consistency, believe in yourself, start. Just start. Yeah. So thank you so much, Diana and Caroline. This has been, oh my God, so much fun. Actually, so informative. And for me, actually, kindred and kindership, because I feel like, wait, I have people I can share with, which is actually where we have bonded, was in entrepreneurship. Yeah. If we had been all in corporate, we probably never would have met.
Never.
That's true.
So we've gone through fighting regulation together. We have had phone calls, and thank you so much for the advice and actually for being raw and very, very honest. Yes. And sharing your journey and your stories, and for building an amazing brand that is loved by all. I can't wait what 2024 is going to be in Hawi today and beyond. Thank you so much for listening to us. This has been so informative. I hope you gathered a lot of insights from it. And subscribe if you know someone who's trying to make a leap. Share this podcast and let us know in the comments what you think. Thank you.